Hello again! Okay, I know it's been a while. I've been pretty busy this week. I'm back on the tracks again. And for good, because that's what you have to do. And now I wanna talk about something that is really important, which is the polyglot's biggest mistakes, and including myself. So the other day I was pissed. And so I guess I deserve some more consideration, I believe. And I'm so pissed. I got so pissed that I wrote on Facebook, "Me and our country, we're the best Spanish speakers as a second language." And I wrote that, and then I think to myself, "Dude, what the fuck am I saying? It's true that me and our country, we're people that we have a good command of Spanish." But I live in Spain. Our country has been studying Spanish its entire life, almost, and it teaches the language. So, in our situation, the strangest thing would be the opposite. So that is part of what I want to talk about. Cause I could name two or three guys on YouTube, but I won't. But I could name two or three that I don't know exactly if they think that way, but the way they act, it's like I am the only one capable of doing this. You don't speak this language like I do, and you will never, because there is no one that is gonna be able to speak this language like I do. And I've come across two or three guys like that, especially one, and I don't think it's a good idea to act that way, cause maybe that guy one day will have a great surprise when he finds someone else with a greater command in that language. Sorry, with in that language than he does. So that's one of the biggest mistakes that polyglots do. In my case, I wrote that down because I know that my Spanish is pretty good, and I believe I deserve some more consideration. But instead, I don't have. I'm not so famous, at least not yet. Uh, and yes, that's why I was pissed. But I realized that my Spanish is not perfect, and it will never be perfect because we never know everything in a language, not even in our own mother tongue. Same as I realized like 1 year or a year and a half ago that my English is not as good as I thought it was. I mean, it's good, but it's not near native because people tend to confuse advanced with near native, upper intermediate with low advanced and stuff like that. And I know because I made that same mistake. I thought my Swedish was something great. I mean, not great, but I thought my Swedish was like I was already on an intermediate level, and I was on that threshold between high beginner, low intermediate. Now I'm low intermediate in Swedish, and really my Swedish is nothing special. I still have problems with pronunciation because pronouncing Swedish is not easy at all. So I still have problems pronouncing it. Now I restarted studying Finnish from the scratch. I mean, I never really stopped studying Finnish, but from the scratch with beginner's Hippocrene. And I realized that basic things, basic stuff, I wasn't aware of that. I didn't even know. I didn't have a fucking clue about basic stuff. So, some of them, of course. So, yes, that's one of the biggest mistakes that polyglots do. When they're great, when they're good polyglots, they tend to think that no one else is going to be able to do it. Well, I talk with a lot of people on Facebook, a lot of enthusiastic people, really enthusiastic people that are studying several languages, and better or worse, they're all making progress. Just like me, just like you. We're all making progress. Sometimes you make more progress, sometimes you make less progress, but we are making progress. So, yes, this is a big mistake to think that you're the best. Then, talking about being the best. When I first started making my videos and I made my list, I had this dream of becoming the best polyglot in the world. Uh, Now I know that it's an utopic dream and it's not going to be true. Because let's say Arguelles is impossible to surpass, I believe. Arguelles is impossible to surpass. One day to hard work, I and you and a lot of people from the real polyglot community and not from the fictitious one, we can be among them. And that, for me, is enough, and I believe that it should be enough for everyone. So what we do is we keep on studying, we keep on doing the best that we can. You don't have to be the best. You have to do the best that you can. That's what you gotta do. That's what you have to do. The best that you can. So far we got two biggest mistakes that polyglots do. So polyglots think that they're the best. They're at a certain language that no one is gonna be able to do that. No one is gonna be able to speak like they do. And then polyglots want to be the best. And sometimes they think that they're the best, including some of the worst too. But no names, just guess it. Anyways, there are other stuff too. When we want to study several languages, several languages, and you make those huge lists that can never stop and keep on coming up and down, heading and cutting languages down to like crazy, like hell. And we tend to set our goals pretty high for a lot of languages. There was this time when I wanted to be near native in 6 or 7 languages, including my native Portuguese, my near native Spanish, and my pseudo near native English. But I believe that I'm not the only one who's not near native in English. I believe that there are some people there claiming to be near native. And I'm not so sure about that. I'm not so sure. They're advanced for sure, but I'm not so sure about that. Because being near native is something that you can only experience dealing with the language every day or living in the country, especially if you live in the country. And you still come across new words and expressions. That's why it's called near native fluency. So you don't say native fluency, you say near native fluency. And yes, that is a problem. We set our goals pretty high for languages. Now I set my goal for low intermediate, intermediate, and low advanced. So a lot of languages are low intermediate. Some too. A lot of them, I believe, low advanced. But I believe that setting our goal to low advanced is something that we can make it possible. For instance. Now I'm studying less languages at the time. I was studying a little bit of Chinese, but then I decided to stop Chinese for a little while. I'm at the very beginners. I'm very beginner. I'm at the very first stages yet, so there's no problem skipping Chinese 1 month or 2 months more. But it's a language that I want to be advanced. And I believe that if I keep studying that like 45 minutes, 1 hour a day, 5 days a week, some crazy weeks and stuff like that during 7 or 9 or 10 years, I believe I can attain that level in that language. But I have to keep on studying it. Same as I believe I can attain that level in Finnish and Swedish. That's why I keep studying it. And that's why now I'm focusing more on those languages, Finnish and Swedish. And that's why I intend to keep on studying those languages, never stop studying those languages. Because polyglots who stop studying languages because they think that they know too much, or they're smartasses, because we never know too much, and too much is never enough. Unless, of course, you have reached your goal. But if you set your goal for an advanced level, you gotta keep on reviewing stuff. If you set your goal for upper intermediate level, you should review from time to time too. If you set your goal for intermediate level, it's okay, you have studied, you have attained your goal, and that's it. So this is it. This is pretty much like it. I believe it's an interesting issue. The polyglot's biggest mistakes, because there are a lot of people doing those mistakes, including myself. See you guys then.